But they would bring the children back seconds, possibly minutes after they took them. So the child would come back and be put back in their beds. And this would go on for years until they were 17. When you hit 17 in the 20 and back program, if you were successful going through, you would be taken.
Codega is a guide and a storyteller, escorting you through the night, lighting the way, warding off thieves, ghosts, demons, and other oddities. Along the journey, his companions would often share with him the most curious of stories that he'd record in his Codex. Perhaps you just might find yourself traveling with the Codega and sharing one of yours. In 1977, on a quiet autumn night, at Hill Air Force Base in northern Utah, a young Air Force technician named Sergeant Dan Sherman stumbled upon something he would never forget. While conducting routine maintenance, Sherman was led to a restricted hangar he hadn't seen before. Inside, he glimpsed an aircraft that defied all logic. It was sleek, metallic, and like nothing in the U.S. arsenal. A craft more advanced, almost alien in appearance. He later reported seeing strange symbols etched along its hull, symbols he couldn't place or decipher. Trying to gather his thoughts, he mentioned the sight to his supervisor. But almost immediately, things took a turn. He was told to keep quiet, and within days, Sherman was mysteriously reassigned to a new base far from Utah. His report was classified, the details redacted, and over time, his experience was buried in secrecy. Decades later, stories like these have emerged from individuals across the globe, whistleblowers who claim they've seen and even worked with technology far beyond our current understanding. For some, like Sherman, it remains a fleeting encounter. For others, they say it's something deeper, a program, an entire operation hidden from public view, possibly involving missions beyond the Earth itself. And that's where I come in. I'm Rai, the Codega, where we explore the shadows beyond the known and seek answers in the forgotten corners of history. I will guide you through this world of mysteries, and I'm here to illuminate the hidden and confront the inexplicable. So, everyone, I want to say thank you again for tuning in tonight. I'm really looking forward to this episode with a fantastic guest. But before we get there, if you're new here to the channel, check us out, subscribe, like, hit that notification. Also, if you're interested in any of the merch and supporting the channel, I have some merch, of course, which I'll show here right away. And also, you can find more episodes on Patreon. So check me out on Patreon down below. All right. Tonight's guest is Will Beaudwin, an accomplished author and former insider who had delved into the mysterious 20 and back phenomena in both his life and his writing. As a passionate storyteller, Will has explored the concept of secret space programs where recruits serve covert tours, only to return to their original timelines with their memories altered. His latest works include 20 and Back and 20 and Back Transcendence, both centered around his experience and insights on hidden missions and covert operations. He's also ventured into the realms of sci-fi fantasy with his Draconian Legend series, beginning with Mission's Edge and continuing with Welcome to Draconia. And I'm sure there's more that I've missed, but without further ado, let's bring Will to the stage. Will, welcome to Codega's Codex of Curiosities.
Thank you very much for having me, Ryan. It's nice to be here. Hello to everybody out there, whatever time of day it is, wherever you're at. So, the 20 Back program.
Yes. We're going to jump right into this. But before we get there, why don't you tell our if I left out anything, please tell our listeners and viewers a little bit more and maybe where they can find these books of yours.
Well, I'm what you call an experiencer. I have experienced certain visitations by greys, by aliens, a lot through my life. But the main ones were when I was in the military, up on the what they called the Pine Tree Line. It was a radar line on the 55th parallel in Canada. And this was in the early 70s, just before satellites came in, just before the internet, just before we went online. And I was actually part of that in, they called it the DEVIL system, Development of Integrated Logistics. They were taking radar stations offline and bringing satellites online. Uh,
Okay.
I was one of the first to send an email over in the early
Oh,
70s. We were sending emails back and forth in the military, some of the first ones sent. So I'm very familiar with what was happening early on with the internet too, which is another interesting subject. But my background also, 20 and Back has a lot of First Nations information and uh, different uh, things that happened to me while I was in CFS Armstrong, different experiences. And I'm mixed race. So my great grandmother, my great great grandmother, they're full blood Algonquin. My father's family came over in 1540 to Canada. So I'm 11th generation Canadian. And I'm sure I've got other stuff floating around in there, but it gives me a unique perspective on what's been happening within the 20 and Back program. They seem to favor individuals with mixed race backgrounds, with First Nations, some Native background. They like Celtic, Irish, Germanic. They, there's just something about it. It probably had something to do with the DNA, which is what the program was about when it first started in the 50s. So there's a lot to cover with the 20 and Back program. I It was 2011 when I really became aware of the part that I played in it. Up until then, there was a lot of dreams, a lot of memories that I just shook my head at, because when you see aliens and different things like that, you start asking yourself, am I sane? You know,
yes.
is this real? And there's a gentleman out there. He has a large following called Connecting Consciousness, Simon Parks, and he triggered some memories in me. And I struggled with them for about a year. And this, I'd been writing for quite a while since then. And that's when 20 and Back started to come out. And I started doing the proper research on the 20 and Back program. Um, it's been around a long time. Uh, it's still happening now, but not to the degree it was. They've phased out many aspects of it within what I call the white force, the good guys type of thing.
Okay.
But the dark force is still out there, and they still use a lot of the methods that were brought over with Project Paperclip. Are you familiar with Project Paperclip?
It's quite well versed with Project Paperclip.
That's when they brought over a lot of the Nazis
Hmm.
who were trained. Uh, you, there were two societies, the Thule Society and the Vril Society in pre-World War II Germany. That the Thule Society was basically a lot of the structure of uh, the Nazi Party and whatnot. And the Vril Society dealt with what they called Vril energy and the occult and contact with alien races and whatnot. So the Germans were doing this for a long time. And if you do the research yourself, and I advise everybody, don't don't just believe anything I say. Please go online, do your own research, take a look yourself, feel it out for yourself. And much of it that I've found on there, I still shake my head at. There are, let's put it this way, there are possibilities to probabilities. Nothing's carved in stone, and things keep changing within the program. Uh, One of the things that changed when the first program first started in the 50s, and that's when I was born in the early 50s. And I was part of the program, I'm pretty sure, uh, through the, I don't like, you can take whatever you want of this out, but through the Roman Catholic Church, through the
Okay.
Jesuits. Uh, My father was most likely part of Opus Dei, which
Hmm.
is the civilian part of the Jesuit uh, priest and whatnot, the priesthood there. So I have many memories of waking up at night, and I won't get into it, but when you're cleaning yourself up from certain things and asking yourself questions of what's happening and you don't remember, it's pretty strange. But what happened in the military with me? I was actually kicked out of the 20 impact program.
Okay.
Uh, I had too much compassion, too much empathy. I felt uh, for the children that basically I was part of logistics. I wasn't a super soldier or anything like that. I was just part of the logistics who shuffled people around, who shuffled equipment around, and there was a lot of underground travel. There are what they call DUMBs around, deep underground military bases. They're all over the world. They're accessed by high speed underground trains. Okay. Again, research this stuff. Look up Dulce Air Force Base, and you'll find some interesting information around that. Um, but my main experience that I remember was when I got kicked out. There were I was on a ship. There were two or three small grays who were piloting and running the ship. There was a small child on the floor, and one of the grays kept kicking at the child, and I got quite upset. And I actually went after the gray. Uh, an officer came out from behind somewhere and basically put me down, admonished me, and I was sent back, and that was it. I never had any experiences after that. Before that, I remember coming back, and I remember always hitting hard, and I'd end up on the floor and wondering how I got there, and I'd see the grays over my shoulder. I remember shaking my head and trying to figure out what was going on. It's very okay. How the 20 back program works. They rely on wiping certain memories from people and moving them back in time. Now, time travel, that is a whole other subject. Okay,
Yes, it is.
the Montauk Project. Have you heard of it?
Yep, of course.
Montauk chair.
Mhm.
Uh, these also anyone who uh, is dealing with any kind of aliens or memories uh, understand that time is a variable, it's a factor in traveling through space. When you can't think physical flight like you think it now. Okay, traveling through space, uh, the pilots are one with the ship. They're connected. It's the ship is like a consciousness, and
Okay.
it, it's quite different. There are no controls like we have controls. It's all done through connecting with the ship. Okay, yes, they use their hands to connect with the ship, but everything is done through the head. This is what I've learned. Okay, so a lot of people who uh, scientists like Neil deGrasse and whatnot, they always try to explain space travel in terms of physics as we know it. But quantum physics has we don't understand many things about it. All we know is that it works.
Hmm.
You can take entanglement. We know entanglement works. They've done the experiments where they've separated half a cell 15 miles away, and what affects one cell immediately affects the other cell. They're connected. There's a connection there of some kind. That's called entanglement. So, what it's about, we don't know. We know it's there. We know
Yeah.
it happens. So, a lot of the things that I've experienced coming up through the 20 and back program were wiped from my memory. I've been told to do a regression
Okay, yeah,
and to
that
do
would be interesting.
a hypnosis thing. I have been told that if I do that, I will be exposed to many things that won't be pleasant, that I really don't want to be exposed to. I've been exposed to enough to show me what's going on. And if I want more, I can have it.
But yeah, the question is, do you want
Do
more?
I
That would
want,
be,
do I want these memories?
yeah.
And I don't need them. I don't, it would just be more phenomena for me. It would just
Yeah.
be more proving something I've already proved to myself.
Now, sorry to interject
Yeah,
there, Will. But can you give us, like, I know we're talking about the 20 and back, but for those who don't know exactly what the 20 and back is, can you just give a brief synopsis of what that 20 and back means or is?
I'll give you two scenarios with it. When
Perfect.
it started with children who were quite young. They would find these children through testing and whatnot. And what would happen is they would come at when the child was asleep in bed, they would take them from their beds to training facilities. And further on, they would use them in different uh, programs, different things that were happening, different missions that they would have for these children. But they would bring the children back seconds, possibly minutes after they took them. So the child would come back and be put back in their beds. And this would go on for years until they were 17. When you hit 17 in the 20 and back program, if you were successful going through, you would be taken usually to the moon. The far side of the moon, there are bases. There are alien bases. They're learning that now. They have all sorts of proof of it. NASA has so many pictures that they have not allowed the public to see that you can't even count them. So they lie, lie, lie. Okay, NASA to us. They keep information back from us. But
Of
anyways,
course, of course. And so, sorry, just a quick question. So, when they're gone, you said they bring them back like seconds or minutes, but when the child is gone, each time they're gone, how long are they gone for? Is it like,
it can be for any amount of time.
so they could be gone for a couple of years, but return back within seconds or minutes of when they? And I'm maybe a couple of years is an exaggeration, but
In during the everyone I've spoken to, everyone I've heard talk about this,
mhm.
the super soldiers, and I'll give you some names in a little while that your viewers can look up.
Okay, for sure.
They talk about how it would be a couple of days at the most
Mhm.
that they would be gone out of their bodies. It's it gets very confusing for an individual because even though they wipe the memories, there's still residue there, and
Okay.
that's what they found what was happening. Now, when you turn 17, though, they would take you for 20 years, and that's when your 20 years would start at
Oh,
17,
okay. Okay.
and you would serve with Space Force. You could be on Mars, you could be on the moon, you could be on Earth. Okay, depending on what your designation was, what you were good at, what they needed you for, where they needed you. So a lot of people didn't make it through the 20 and back program and would die in their sleep. They would never come back. Okay, this happened all the time. Okay, um, but after 20 years, you would be regressed and put back minutes after they took you. And when they come back, all of them talk about how confused they were. They knew something had happened. But here you are, 17,
Mhm.
coming back, still, going to high school the next day. And
Right. Just to bring up something. So I interviewed a gentleman, and Walter Bosley, his name is, and he talks about, it's not 17 though. He talks about 16, not this 20 and back, but it almost seems like it kind of fits when because he talks about time travel being quite associated with this. He says that when he was turned 16, or when he was 16 years old, he had an experience where he woke up and he was like looking at his hands. He's like, these aren't my hands. This isn't me. What is going on? He couldn't place it. Everything seemed different and off. And I'm just wondering, like, maybe that in some way is tied to this.
Very, very possibly. It's very confusing, and that's exactly how a lot of people explain it. They don't feel like themselves. They feel like there's someone else. They've had all these experiences. There is muscle memory. There is all sorts of memory within them
Yes. Yeah.
that is still there. Now, also, there. I'll give you a name here. I got the names written down here. The one gentleman, Duncan O'Finian. He's one of the early 20 and back recruits. He was triggered into remembering going through a CAT scan, and he had
Really?
implants all over him. He was a true super soldier. He had super strength. Uh, he has stories about Vietnam as a child. He would perform missions on Earth, assassinations, different things like this. Some of the stories these guys tell are, oof, they're out there. And I'll give you a couple of names. Another one who is kind of interesting is a lad called James Casbolt, Casbolt. He went, he's a little younger than I am. He's probably 50s now
Okay.
or so, mid 50s. So he was in the earlier 20 and back program. Now, that early 20 and back program, it was tough. Like they would take sometimes children from infants who had no, like orphans, and they would start conditioning them as infants, putting them outside in the cold in cribs, just constantly putting them in places where they would be set up with video and audio to frighten them and to scare them. This is how you get compartmentalization to work, by scaring them so much that they just click off and they go away. And you just start creating all these compartments within their minds, and you can switch them around. And that comes right from Nazi Germany. Okay,
Wow.
that
Okay.
type of programming. And that went on for quite a few years. Okay, with the 20 and back program. They had that, and then they had different ways of recruiting. Okay, you talk to there's this one uh, gentleman, Tony Rodriguez, is another experiencer. Now he has a strange story. He was kidnapped as a young teenager. He was 12 or 13 when he was kidnapped, and he was kidnapped by a person whose son he had beat out in a science contest in school, and he humiliated his son. But this was a very powerful person within the the organizations. You can, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And he had him kidnapped and enslaved. And for the first few years, he was passed around people on Earth. And then he was sold to the Dark Force. And he was on a ship with the Dark Force as a slave. And he speaks of his whole journey through that. So there's many different experiences. There's many different ways of getting into the program, of being introduced into the program. Okay. Uh, but what happened with, let's say, the good guys, the white hats, whatever you want to call them?
Yep.
They decided against this very intrusive, this very horrific way of conditioning the children and whatnot. And they went to a more traditional, from within the military, where parents within the military had children who they would put in the program, and they knew they were doing it. You can talk Randy Kramer, Captain Randy Kramer is another one who went through this program. Okay, and he's a very intelligent man, and he okay. This is another wild story, let me tell you. Randy Kramer says he is a captain in the Marines and that
Okay.
he has been ordered by the Marines to bring this information forward to the public about the 20 and back program he went through and what he did while he was on Mars. He was he flew intercept spacecraft. This guy has some stories, let
Wow.
me tell you.
Okay.
But the one point he made that now I'm ex-military.
Hmm.
If you claim to be military and you are not, they will come after you. He is out there using the name of the Marines, saying he's a captain and he's been ordered to do this. Now, if he wasn't, they'd be after him.
Yeah.
As
Okay.
far as
Okay.
I'm concerned.
Like kind
Okay.
of like the stolen valor, but they take it
Stolen power.
serious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, and the stories he has are wild. And insectoids attacks. He was almost killed once. He was put back together on a med bed. Like,
Jeez.
it's and like you hear these stories from these men, and they're out there. They're giving lectures. They're writing books. They're all telling the same type of story.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know. My story compared to those is quite simple, and I took a lot of the information I got from their stories and wrote them into my novel, 20 and Back. I find the best way to get information out there to people is through fiction. Tell them a good story and they'll listen, but tell them a boring story, nah, you know. So you got to dress it up a bit and whatnot. But this, you really don't have to. This speaks for itself.
And
It's
oh, okay. And so I got a couple of questions. So
yeah.
that's how you start with the 20 and back. Now, what is the purpose of the 20 and back? Like why what is the purpose of the Space Force? What is going on out
Okay, how far back you want to go? Um,
there?
if
Like
you go,
why are we going out there? What do they want from us?
okay, what they wanted from us initially was to enslave us, and we were their food. Okay, hundreds of thousands of years ago, we're going to go back here a ways. Uh, the Anukai. Have you heard of the Anukai?
Yes,
It's a
yes. I
group
think
of
I've heard them pronounced differently. The Anaki or
Anunnaki, Anukai.
Anunnaki.
There's
Yeah,
also
Anukai.
Anunnaki.
Yeah.
Yes, those dudes. Reptilian race, a lot of them, and they came to Earth. Now, gold, liquid gold, is very important to them. And when they came here, they found uh, the human race, which is not Homo sapien, what we are now. They added their DNA to it, okay, and they manipulated our DNA and created who we are. If you look back in history, there's a huge leap at that time in our evolution. It's unexplainable, and you can go to many, many different places and learn about this. Okay,
Yep.
and so we were created to mine for them and as food. They harvest adrenaline, and it's called adrenochrome. And this is the drug that they use basically to maintain their sanity, I think. But so why are they here? They're here to enslave us. They're here to use us as food, and they see us as a commodity. Okay,
Okay.
these are not nice beings. There's all sorts of different ideas around that too. Now, what has happened in the last since the end of World War II, since we developed nuclear weapons and whatnot, that's when they really started noticing us and wanting to know what's going on. Since then, I have heard now there is this galactic council. Okay, there is a council within the galaxy. There are rules. If you're going to dominate a race, if you're going to do something somewhere, you have to tell them you're going to do it. If you look at the movies that have been coming out, if you look at the information that's been coming out all over the place on the internet, they're telling us,
Yeah.
okay, what's going to be happening. Okay. Um, They were supposedly told to leave, and they have basically been kicked out of our solar system. And this is the war that's going on right now. And they don't want to leave. Okay, you look around the world right now. Uh, David Icke. Have you ever heard of David Icke?
Of course, of course.
Don't mention the reptiles. It's one of his mottos. Okay,
Yeah.
because it all goes back to them. It all goes back to hybrids, people who are controlling, people who are in government and controlling things, families. They're not completely human. Okay, there is an entity controlling them that is not of this earth, and that's where the hybrids come in. I write a lot about the hybrids in my novels, about
Okay.
adrenochrome, about the children.
Hmm.
There's so many facets, there's so many layers to this. Children disappearing is a huge part of this because this is where they get a lot of the slaves from. When I learned that, okay, 25% of 50,000 is what, 12,
About,
13,000.
yeah, yeah.
That many children disappear from Canada every year and never found again.
Jeez.
1,000 a month, over 1,000 a month, children. That's just Canada. My question is why? Why are they disappearing? And when you look at the 20 and back program, when you look at the slave issue that is out there, uh, the adrenochrome issue, all of these basically rely on young souls for their existence. Adrenochrome, they harvest it by scaring children half to death and harvesting the adrenaline and turning
Hmm.
it into the drug they need. I know it all sounds crazy. I know it all sounds really out there, but when you think about it, it really explains a lot of what's going on in the world these days and the
It, it it
battle
it
that is.
definitely it definitely does. There's a lot of puzzle pieces. There are so many of these puzzle pieces, and when you start to put them all together, no matter how crazy and strange it sounds, it starts to make a bigger picture when you put it all together. You talk about there's one thing over here, and alone, it kind of sounds you're like, what the hell? And over here, this is kind of crazy. But when you put them all together, it creates a more broader picture, and you're able to step back and actually see the truth that's being hidden in front of us.
Yeah. And so my big thing are the children.
Hmm.
I'm a dad, I'm a granddad. Uh, this has got to stop. And I believe this is, you look at the you look at what's happening in the US right now. In fact, today is election day, selection day.
Today is election day. Yeah.
And you have what they call the white hats and the black hats going at it
Hmm.
right now. I don't judge. I look, I observe, and I choose. And right now, the battle is for the spirit and soul of the people in the United States. That's what the
Yes.
battle is for. And we'll see what happens. I'm not even going to get into it. I
Yeah, that's
want
a
to
whole other
stay
ball of
away.
wax, and I agree. But I agree with you that this is you know,
It's a
we
turning
are.
point.
Yeah, it is a turning point, and I think we are in a battle. We're in a spiritual type of battle right now. It's a battle for our souls and for our minds, not for killing. Well, killing people comes along with it, but it's also about corrupting the people.
Yes, definitely. And if you're feeling out of place in this world, uh, if you're losing friends who don't agree with you, I look at one thing I will talk about is the vaccination. Like, I'm not vaxxed. I refused right from the beginning
Good on you.
uh, because of my connection with all the people around me who I get information from.
Hmm.
I had really good information about what was happening back then.
Yep.
Wuhan, what was happening in Wuhan, we kind of knew about in early 2020.
Yep. Yep.
And but would anybody look into it? No, people were being brainwashed totally. And I saw that and I felt it, and I could not be a part of it. Could not.
Yeah.
So
I would say that's one of the reasons why I moved to Mexico. Actually,
really,
is because of everything that was going on in Canada at that time. Yep, I was like, I can't support this, and I need to go somewhere else.
right now it's interesting here in Canada. Um, I was listening to Benjamin Fulford. Now, there's another guy to listen to, man. Benjamin Fulford claims to be and I've been watching him for years too. I listen to all these out in left field people.
Mm.
And he lives in Japan. He talks a lot about the vaccine. He talks a lot about the dragon families
Mm-hmm.
who are in control in the East and what's happening with them and what's happening with the big families and BRICS. And he talks about a lot of different things. And he was talking about Canada the other day, and how Canada is going to be playing a major role somehow in flipping over to this new way of thinking, this new, it's a kind of a reset, I guess they're talking
Okay.
about. And yeah, so it's interesting times. And but Benjamin Fulford is someone, he, like listening to him, the first few times you scratch your head because all the information is so radical and out there. That, but you know what? It's the way it is right now.
It really is. It definitely is. And so I just want to bring it back then to this 20 and back program. You
Yeah,
said
yeah,
you were in a logistics. Can
yeah,
you go into a little bit more detail about that? Like, what exactly did that entail? You said like moving people and moving items and things like that.
yeah. It's, how do I put this? It's just like a regular organization, the
Okay. Yeah.
Space Command. You have your administration. You have your supply, which is part of logistics. Um, um, your transport people,
Mhm.
your pilots, your soldiers, so on and so forth. You have it all, and within that, I I remember walking down hallways and the floor lighting up as I'm walking down, and there'd being doors on both sides, and you look through and you look in, and there'd be children in there
Okay.
waiting to be taken. And basically, I was an escort. Okay.
Okay.
And I remember children pulling at my pant leg and looking up at me and wondering what's going on. Different things like that. It was it really tugged at my heart what was
Yeah.
going on then. And I had a problem with it. I always had a problem with it. Now, I talked about those underground rail systems. They're very efficient. And they move. You, you can go across to Europe, I think, a couple hours. It's thousands
Jeez.
of miles per hour.
Yeah.
These tube trains, and yeah, when I think it was Truman who signed the contract with the aliens. You can find this contract, by the way,
Yeah.
online. Okay, it's been released, and it was for DNA. Uh, the Greys, the reticulum from reticuli, I believe it's called. Uh, through like they they would just clone, and
Okay.
after so many tens of thousands of years of cloning, it starts breaking down, and they needed a new injection of DNA. Now it's not just the Greys who clone. There's a lot of races who clone out there. We are cloning now.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
So this is nothing new. And so what they were after was the DNA. And the US government made a deal with them. Well, you give us technology and you can have DNA. They they didn't really look at the fine print, I guess. Got a little out of hand. But like Area 51, that if you follow that story through from the beginning, it's a cover up. It's it's such a huge cover up by the U.S. Army that, start with one story, then completely change the story. It's they were there. They were there. Yeah.
Fascinating. I find it all really really interesting. Now, was there anything on any of your missions that you went on that you can recall that really stick out? And I'm not talking about the grays, but is there any like places that you went to?
Dulce, I think it was Dulce, and like
Okay.
it was just an underground station. But like I
Okay.
say, all of this has been wiped from me,
Okay.
and like I
Yeah.
could have it back. I've been told I can have it back. Simon Parks actually does regressions with X20 and back. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, but like I said, the experience is something I don't want to remember. I'm
Mhm.
70 now. I'll write about what I know, and I
Yeah.
talk to other people. There's enough information out there that I don't have to add to the pile.
Hmm.
But the 20 and back program, the biggest thing that I took, it screwed up my childhood. It really did. Um, that's the biggest problem I find with it is the training and the conditioning I went through as a child was, yeah, it was pretty terrible. You're a hunk of meat. Yeah. And if you have any intelligence at all, if your IQ is up there, if you have the right genetic background and whatnot, you're automatically you know being looked at. You know, nobody uh, Eisenhower, what's her name?
Dwight Eisenhower or
His
Theodore.
granddaughter,
What is that? Okay.
um,
Okay.
his granddaughter, she was part of the 20 and back program, and she
Really?
talks about it a lot. Yeah. Um, quite You'd be surprised at the number of politicians and whatnot who understand that there are bases on Mars and they've been there, and they of course they won't talk about it.
Hmm.
Mars has uh, been misunderstood for years. There's a lot going on Mars, let me tell you. Many races.
Okay.
uh, I believe humans have been there since just after World War II. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. And do you believe that the rovers that we're seeing videos from are truly at Mars, or are they up in what island is that in Canada that they said that they're actually stationed at, and they're
I
actually
I
just
there's so many stories. It's a
Mhm.
mix.
Yeah, yeah,
They're on Mars, no
yeah.
doubt. With okay, there's the Vril Society, Vril
Hmm.
Energy. Okay, 0 point energy is, I believe, what they're all talking about, and that's been, Tesla. He proved it
Yeah,
long time ago, 100 years ago. We knew about this, but it was too
yeah.
good. It was too good, and you couldn't control it to put a price on it. So that's why we have the system we have now with wires and delivery and everything else. But this energy is what they harness to move about too. It's They say in 1 square meter of air, there's enough energy for the Earth to function for a year. Everyone on Earth
Really.
with the 0 point energy, it's unbelievable what is out there and what they're holding back from us now. This 20 and back program, all of these programs are are what they call undisclosed programs. Have you ever heard of Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer?
Of course, yes.
Undisclosed is his latest offering to us. It's about an hour and 45 minutes. I highly recommend everybody to go look at it because it talks about what would happen if all of the information around the 20 and back program and all of these programs were released to the public. We would no longer need oil. We would no longer need the power companies. The reason over 5,000 um, uh, free energy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, ah, Words are slipping me. I
No,
had a.
that's all right.
Uh, Anyways, they're, what do you call them when they apply for patent? Okay,
Okay.
there's
Okay.
over 5,000 free energy patents in the states, over 5,000 that have been turned down. Why? They won't even let them publish them because it's a threat to the oil-based economy, and they say it right out. It's a threat to the economy. Okay, I I have a friend whose nephew he was threatened by the men in black because of his ability to he took a carburetor and he was getting over 200 miles per gallon with it, and he wanted to go
Okay.
public with it. But this is the stuff they won't let out. They don't want this stuff out there. Okay, it's simple as that, and they'll
Yeah.
do anything to keep it out. They kill people to do it. Okay, they have. I won't even get into how many free energy scientists have suddenly died of heart attacks. And
Yeah.
it's
Or very strange accidents that take their lives.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
just as they're about to do something.
Yeah.
You know, it's so like the, the 20 program, the 20 and back program opened my mind
Mm-hmm.
and opened my heart to all this other stuff that was going on. And once I started studying all that, I realized how interlaced everything is. And like the 20 and back program is going on right now. It's still going on, especially with the dark force.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the reason it's 20 years, okay, and this is an interesting little point, because that's about all that a person can take and still be properly regressed
Oh.
and have it take effect. They start
Okay.
going over the 20-year mark, and it's really hard to regress them and to bring them back to where they were.
So 20. Okay. So 20 years is kind of like the mental limit or mental capacity limit that we have that is able to kind of almost like erase or cover up. Anything further than that, it's kind of like,
They
well,
run into
it
trouble.
starts leaking out
Yeah, yeah.
more.
But to tell you the truth, I think one of the reasons the 20 and back program was brought back, and well, there's a number of reasons. I think just uh, the internet awareness, public awareness of what's going on. Uh, Dr. Greer, I'm going to go back to him for a moment here.
Yeah.
Does an interesting thing called CE5. Have you ever heard of it?
I've never done it. I actually downloaded the app to my phone. So I have like the ability, like I have the knowledge to go and do it, but I've never done it. And I've had friends who have done it and it's worked for them.
What I learned is that CE5 is basic. I meditate. I'm a
Mhm.
meditator. I'm a deep meditator. I teach meditation. The reason we cannot connect telepathically as humans, I believe, is because we carry around too many secrets. Okay.
Mm,
And we don't want people to know our secrets. Okay. And because of that, we've lost our ability to be telepathic.
okay.
But we are still telepathic beings. And through meditation, and I'll send you the video after this I took of the result of 3 months of CE5 sessions out on my back patio in Niagara on the Lake. And they came. Okay. All I said, I just want proof that you're out there. I just want to see you up in the sky. You don't have to come and visit me. And they came and they showed me they were up there. And I'll send that to you after.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I
And
definitely would love to see that.
and it's amazing. Once they were doing patterns, triangles, just floating across and coming in threes and all over the place. It was amazing. It was just, and that was just them saying hello to me.
Interesting.
And yeah, it's
Now, now I have a question, Will. You had mentioned earlier about dreams. Can you
yeah.
are you able to go into those a little bit? Because that's something I talk about a lot on my show here. Is I have these very vivid, fluid dreams, and I'd love to hear what you've experienced.
You've probably heard of David Wilcox then.
Yes, yes, I have.
He writes down his dreams every night. He's one of us who also is very much into their dreams. Dreams to me, well, okay, of course you have dreams that come on because of things that have happened to you, things that happen through the day, a bad experience, some traumatic event, something exciting, something good happened. It
Hmm.
can cause you to dream certain dreams. And this is all great, but the majority of my dreams, I believe I'm actually what I call lucid dreaming, and I'm just somewhere else. I'm uh, alternate realities, okay, alternate Earths, alternate timelines. These all make sense to me. If you, everybody's afraid, oh, traveling through time, you go back in time, you'll change something and you'll change the future. Well, you'll change a timeline, but you won't change the timeline you traveled from. That one remains the same.
Okay.
Okay. So you have these thousands, tens of that millions. I don't know how many timelines, okay, out there. And this is one of the things I've studied and makes sense to me. It explains a lot of things, especially in dreams. And I get a lot of lessons in patience, in uh, being compassionate in my dreams. I'm always being, it's like being in service, and being there to help people building things, moving.
Hmm.
It's just crazy. But I'm in the dream. I'm saying I'm dreaming. I know I'm dreaming. I'm here. Like, but okay, let's just enjoy it. Like, it's very, very different. It's very different from just a regular dream. Yeah, you're dreaming. And
Yes.
within the dream, you're dreaming. It's very strange. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
That's
so
interesting.
but these timelines I feel happen a lot. Okay. And with the 20 and back program, you come back, boom, into your body at 17. That timeline that was created by your 20-year experience is still there. And as you travel through life, that timeline is traveling through life with you.
Is it like parallel? Is it, you think, is it like running parallel, but you're not in it though?
This is how it made me feel.
Okay.
This is how I felt about it. That's how you get how you flip over.
Hmm.
Okay, and you're suddenly like I'm suddenly on a spaceship seeing this child getting kicked around by a gray.
Yeah.
But I'm also back in my bunk. Okay.
Okay.
So it's two different timelines. It's two different means. And in my 20 and back in the first novel, I have three timelines for my character.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a very different. Uh, they move. Read the novel.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Read the
Okay,
novel, everybody.
it's
Yeah.
complicated. But yeah, so like timelines are very important to me. They're a big part of. I don't know if I call it my belief system. Yes, I like I say, I have probabilities, possibilities in my life.
Hmm.
Nothing's carved in stone. And the one experience I had that really woke me up to a lot of stuff was in 2020. I did pass. I passed over in 2020.
Oh, okay.
And that was a very strange experience for me because I knew exactly what was going on.
Hmm.
And I knew exactly who was there. And when they brought me back, I was quite upset because it was quite a nice place.
So
And
sorry. So you're saying that you had a NDE, a near death experience?
oh, definitely. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
They are quite they're awesome.
Okay.
Is because you don't die. You as spirit do not die. Okay. This physical body that I exist in it's like a car driving my spirit around. Okay. I've left this body. My spirit has been for a number of reasons, pain, uh, just through meditation. Um, I've been pulled out by other spirit to be
Okay.
shown stuff. Okay. And it's funny because they'll come and they'll say, we're only going to show you this once. Pay attention.
And so they asked to pull you out, like they remove you,
They
and
don't ask, they just do it.
okay, okay,
They just do it when it's net. They know when it's necessary.
hmm,
Okay. And they show me stuff and it opens my heart and it changes me. And
interesting.
yeah, it's that's happened all through my life. But you'll find with most experiencers, all through their lives, they've been disconnected from the 3D. They've been disconnected from the earth, kind of. Well, if you think, you have this other experience going on and you're whipping through life in the 20 and back program along with on earth, it can get confusing,
Extremely, extremely, yes. You feel like you're torn, and you're
It,
not really here, even
constantly,
though you are.
constantly,
Mhm.
constantly. But it's one thing that I have gotten over the years is with aging is I've been able to process a lot of this stuff. So I don't have to go back and revisit things that I really don't want to revisit. And mind you, it might happen one day, just out of the blue. I might just decide, yeah, I know a lot of uh, therapists, hypnotherapists, and good
Mhm.
ones who have offered, hey, Will, come on,
Let's do this. Let's do this. Yeah. Well,
you know,
like you said, it's going to be quite, to revisit that would be very traumatic as well. It's like I don't mind it sitting behind a smoked glass window kind of thing, because it seems that you have a little bit of a vision of it, but not the full thing.
I have what I have is full vision of it. Like that
Okay.
spaceship, I can draw that spaceship.
Wow.
Okay. And I can, I see the pad that they push me onto to
Hmm.
beam me down, Scotty. Like, it can be like that. Like, I, don't try and understand quantum physics. Just know that things are
That it
happening
works.
out
That
there that,
happens.
yeah, that we can't explain. So, but like I say, the 20 and back program started out it was very traumatic for the individuals in it. Let me give you some names. Um,
Yeah.
Corey Good. There's a piece of work. Like not every like Corey Good. He has great information and he deals
Yeah.
with the blue adromitums. He's been inside of Earth, into the catacombs with the they claim there's a reptilian race that has lived in the inner Earth for longer than we have been around as a human race, and they are
I've heard
still
this before. Hmm.
okay. So Corey Good gets a lot into that, but he tried to patent 20 and back. He
Okay.
and make it his own, and like come on, Corey, give it a
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah.
And but he has a lot of interesting information, and he was definitely part of the program. Then you have another guy, Max Spears, Spiers. Max was around with um, uh, what's his name, James Casbolt.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, when you listen to these guys and what they talk about assassinating people. James Casbolt. Now, let me tell you something about him that is true. He was married to the daughter of the richest Jewish family in the world, the Jewish crime family. I forget their name, but he was allowed to marry her.
Okay.
Why? I don't know, because it just turned into a hell on earth for him. He ended up in prison over it.
Jeez.
But it's these stories are crazy, they're wild, but these things can be proven.
Yeah.
And why would a family like that allow a nobody from England? He was from nowhere, out of nowhere, to marry their daughter like that. That just doesn't happen.
Exactly. I agree with you. It's kind of strange like that. That they would be vetting who is going to be marrying into their family, and
They
there's a
wanted
reason why.
they wanted
Mhm.
a child by him.
There's a reason. There's a
They
reason.
have his son now. He did a whole talk about he they have his son and why he was taken in. Yeah, they wanted a child by him.
Interesting.
Crazy world, eh? But
It is extremely crazy, and I know, Will, we're just getting into this, and we're coming closer to our end of our program here. But is there anything else you want to fill in? Any other pieces of the puzzle?
oh, there are many pieces.
I don't think we have enough time, right?
No, no. But like I say, the 20 and Back program covers a wide spectrum of other programs, of other undisclosed programs.
Yes.
Uh, like they could be used on Earth for assassination. One interesting thing that I heard from Duncan O'Finian is that they would use the children in Vietnam during Vietnam
Okay.
in certain instances, and just very strange tales coming from him. But yeah, it like I say, look up if you really want to learn about the 20 Back program.
Hmm.
I've been researching it for years, and I could sit here and keep giving names and different experiences that super soldiers that I've had
That you've
with
talked to.
them.
Mhm.
Uh, it's amazing what's been going on, and they why would they lie about this stuff?
Exactly, exactly. That one that really stuck out to me was Captain Randy Kramer. That name.
Oh, what an interesting guy!
Yeah.
What a
I swear I've heard his story before somewhere else. And that is something that I definitely want to go after and look into a little further as well.
and these are all interviews with him that you're going
Okay.
to find with Randy
Yeah.
Kramer. He gives courses on opening up your ability for telepathy, different
Okay.
things like this. He's on some mission, and it's interesting. But like to hear him talk, he's if he's lying, nobody's called him out on it yet.
Hmm.
So yeah,
That it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. And there's always the chance that someone might try to tag along with this and make up their own stories. But
certain
I think that goes with just about anything. Like stolen valor happens all the time. In regular military life,
yes, it does.
let alone this as well.
Yes, and if you look at all the different programs, I would and NASA and all the different space programs right around the world. I would say there's 20 and back people involved with them all the way through. It's like I say, the more I look into it, the more I shake my head and just wonder. Now, just remember that with all of this, there is this shadow government, world government that we're dealing with. Through the US, through the United Nations, the European Union, all of these, there are shadow governments out there that are operating without us
Mhm.
knowing them too. So, like, just be aware that it goes far deeper. The dumbs. Here's something for you to look at.
Okay.
Now, these dumbs are all part of the 20 and Back program. Okay, this is where the DNA would go. This is where the experimenting was happening with creating different types of beans, mixing up DNA. And look through any day at earthquakes at 10 kilometers, exactly 10 kilometers deep. and start going through them and see how many there are, because that's where your dumbs are, at 10 kilometers. And then you start lining up these earthquakes, and you can see the lines of the railways.
Really?
Railways. It's quite interesting. So, but these earthquakes they're talking about, like when 10% of the earthquakes I look at in a day are all at 10 kilometers, I start scratching my head and going, what's going on here?
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
an impossible statistic to, to have. Yeah. So there's all sorts of things happening in the background right now that we have to keep an eye on. It's this war going on that, 20 and back people have been part of this war since the 50s. Okay, out in space,
Hmm.
slave ships, Mars, moons around Jupiter, Saturn. It's like I say, we could go on and on and on with different.
Exactly. Like this war that we don't even know that's happening is quite interesting, because it's we're being so distracted by all these other localized wars and whatnot, and I think that's what a lot of them are, just
That's all
distractions.
they are.
Mhm.
That's all they are. They don't want us looking at what's really happening. Okay, they just don't want us to put two and two together. But very few of us do. I'll tell you, and I
Yeah.
challenge everybody watching this out there: do a little research, just a little, just for an hour or two. An individual like Rye or myself, we do days and days and weeks and months of research to sift through the facts and the BS that's out
Hmm.
there. Because 90% of what's out there right now about UFOs, ufology, and whatnot, I no, no, I don't buy it. You know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of information out there that's just off the cuff. You know, but
Yes.
I have filmed them. I've called them in. I've done the CE5, and boy, that was amazing. Let me tell you
I've heard that multiple times. I should try that here on my patio one of these nights here and see what happens.
you're going to have to try it for more than one night in a row.
Okay.
What what they look for is consistency. What aliens are looking for is a constant signal and an address. I'm here. This is where I'm at. Okay. And I show them in my mind on Earth where I'm located.
Hmm.
I just want you guys to visit me. And it's very specific. It and it's a deep meditation. It's a very specific type of meditation where I'm focused on communicating with them,
Yep.
effectively. So, and I did that for 3 months, and then they showed up. So,
Oh wow. Okay.
they like that consistency. They can hone in on that. Okay, you
Hmm.
got to give them something to hone in on. Okay, you can't just say, "Hey, hi, how you doing?" You know, because
Got you.
they have they're looking at the. Can you imagine, just before closing here, an
Yeah.
alien coming to this earth and looking around right now at what's going on? What would you do? Would you want to step into this cesspool of violence and war and
I'd be
everything else
packing
going
up
on?
and saying, "Let's get out of here."
You're on your own,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah.
aren't. I think that there's help on the way for us in
Okay.
that sense. They aren't. The earth is a jewel. The human race, we have qualities that most races don't have. We're curious. We can take something, look at it, and say, how can I make this better? And we do it and we improve things. Most races, draconians, no. Draconians are still using technology from 10,000 years ago because it still works. you know, so, and that's all they think about. They don't think like we think. Okay, so
Okay.
the human race is very valuable to the galaxy, and they are not going to let us be destroyed. They are not going to let the Earth be destroyed.
Well,
Okay,
that's good. That is that's a great message actually to end this on too.
yeah,
Is that Yeah, they're not going to let us be destroyed. We're not going to
No,
destroy ourselves.
no. That's all of the fear around all of these end of times and apocalyptic movies and everything. No, that ain't gonna happen. Sorry.
Do you, just one last question, do you think that these apocalyptic type movies are for us to focus on and maybe manifest, like to create that, like it's not our future, but maybe by them keep bringing these things out, we'll actually create that future?
How do you get people to believe in a lie? Keep telling them the same lie for 3 months, and it becomes a truth. It becomes a fact.
Exactly, and that is quite the possibility that they
Brainwash.
might, yeah, they might get us. Everybody paid attention that everybody is out there to get everyone else, and we'll end our own end ourselves. But
Yeah, but positive energy is far more powerful than the negative fear crap they're throwing out. The
mhm.
positive love energy that we can generate as humans, they can't even come close to it. If you create that aura of peace and love around yourself, they will not get in. That's what they fear. Okay. They
Yeah,
don't understand it. They don't get it. And that's why I know I'm safe.
perfect, perfect. Myself as well. I'm trying to emulate that as well, and though sometimes I find it's hard. I don't
Yes,
watch
sure.
TV anymore. We just try to keep that positive outlook.
Yeah. Well, start writing. You won't have to watch TV anymore. You create your own world.
True. That's exactly. I do write my dreams. It's been over 12 years of me writing my dreams. So
Phenomenal. Phenomenal. That's powerful. That is powerful.
it is. And I would say the last couple of years I've kind of backed off on it a little bit, because I was having trouble remembering my dreams. But I also think it goes hand in hand. If you don't write your dreams, then you have trouble remembering them, and it's a catch-22. If you don't write it down, you forget, and then you have harder time remembering your dreams in the future as well. So even if you remember slight little bits, you should always write it down, and it will build on your actually memory capabilities to be able to recall what you dreamt the night before.
Yeah. Yeah. But just like I say, it's the love or positive energy, whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
Love's a great word. Over fear, there's no comparison. There's no comparison. When I stopped being afraid of the fourth dimension beings, when I stopped being afraid and just said, "Hey, you're okay where you're at. I love you," it freaks them out. you know.
Fantastic. I like that. I like that. That's a great way too. So,
Yeah.
Will, before we call it tonight here, can you tell our listeners and viewers where they can find your books and where they can find you?
Yeah, I'm at right there, balanceband57 at
Okay.
gmail.com. I like to keep it to that. I'm also on Facebook. I have my author's page, Will Beaudwin,
Hmm.
and Amazon. I have a publisher, and I don't get that. I know I'm on Amazon and a few other places. Most places you can get my books.
Yeah.
Amazon, they're doing really well. They like me there, and I like them, and we're doing quite well there. And
We'll make
also,
sure I'll put a
I do
link
have
on the show too here. Yeah.
I do have hard copies. Okay,
Cool.
if,
Yeah.
if you want to send me an email, and we'll mail you a hard copy. They're $20 plus shipping and handling.
Yep.
Okay, I got my first two. I also have the my third one in the series is out, not in print yet, but in Amazon. Transcendence, the final one in the trilogy.
Okay.
And then also the Draconian Legends, like you said, Welcome to Draconium is now available too. And I'm writing the third one in that series right now.
Oh
So
wow, that is
that's
awesome.
that's never ending. Right? Maybe we can do a show one time just on writing.
I think so. I think that would be great. I'd love
Motivate
to have
some
you on,
people.
maybe for one of our lives or something like that. Will.
Sure. Bring a few writers on, and we can
Okay.
motivate people to write.
Yeah, I have Karen Wilkinson. She's written about Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest, where she talks about
Yeah.
being.
Yes,
Yep.
I've heard
And
of it.
okay, and then there's also Vicky Joy Anderson. She's written about They Come Out at Night, which is about she talks about sleep paralysis, but in conjunction with aliens too, where they come and they come at night.
Yeah, I have a theory around that too.
Oh, I would love to hear that. Okay. So, but we're going to end it tonight, though.
Yeah,
So, Will, I want to say thank you again so much for coming on. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I really enjoyed having you on.
right on. Okay, I'll see you later, Ryan.
See you later. Everyone, that was Will Beaudwin, an amazing author who has had some amazing experiences. And he takes it from a different perspective, the 20 and back, which is he wasn't like the super soldier type. He was working in logistics and shipping. And if you think about it, you're like, it makes sense. Why aren't there those types of people that are working in logistics, like organizing and moving cargo, so to speak? It makes complete sense that that there are people in all aspects of this. Like, when you go into the Army or into the Air Force, there's mechanics, there's people working in logistics, there's the engineers. It's not just your pilots or your gunners or something like that, there, or your soldiers. There's more to it, and really fascinating. And if you guys are really interested, check out his books. I'm going to post the link down below. Make sure you check it out in the show notes. Go buy his books, support Will, and very, very interesting subjects he's talking about there. And with that, everyone, I want to say, keep your curiosity wandering, keep the light lit, and always find your way home. I look forward to our next adventure together as we navigate the mysteries that lie ahead. Until our paths cross again, keep your curiosity wandering, keep the light lit, and always find your way home.